Good morning, everybody, and welcome to RPG Horror Stories. Today, we actually have something recommended by another member of the Discord once again. It's a super long story. I just finished recording it. I hope that you enjoy it. It is from Artmon, so take them head pats. Hell fucking yeah. Let's get on with the tale. Alright, buckle in, because this is a long one. Alright. That guy infiltrates group to insert fetishes, PvPs, and starts out-of-game fights. Then tries to write a horror story about us after we kick him out. Sexual content warning. Too long didn't read. We accidentally invited a secret sex pest in our group. He hid it pretty well for a while, and we were all awkward nerds who didn't know how to approach it when we realized what the fuck was happening. He then proceeded to fuck off out of our game for a while. Also, read the replies before commenting. I know we made several mistakes, and I'm not denying those. We fucked up. Let this be a cautionary tale. I want to preface this with this knowledge. I was gonna be the bigger man here, and not post, because I thought at one point me and this guy were friends. And it felt weird to publicly shame someone I had actually played with for so long. He's not better than the other cases I've written about in the past. Possibly worse, but it felt more personal in a sense. I wasn't going to until my friend, whom he still talks to, shared a message screenshot showing he plans on writing one about us, and me specifically, as I'm why he got removed from the group by bringing the discussion up with others in the group. This is going to be a long one, but I'll start from the beginning and try to exclude anything that isn't a red flag that comes into play later. Also, as far as the players in the story go, that guy will be referred to as such, or by TG, for shortening. There's a few other important characters to cover, but I will nickname them as they become relevant. I'll tell you what, let's play a fucking game, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take butter, I'm gonna put it on me. Every time that he says that guy. Just to see how bad of a that guy this dude is. We're gonna start off with one, because we only have one. Alright, we're buttered up. Let's go. This all started about 2-ish years ago, right before the COVID shit hit. I was out a couple players on my long-running VTM Wild West game, thanks to schedules changing and people getting new jobs and stuff. I had to run into bad players nearly every time. I had been on Roll20, but to keep the game going for the remaining players, I needed fresh blood. Pun absolutely intended. This time, I was going to be super careful, I thought, and me and the other players interviewed all of the applicants on Discord to see if we meshed well or not, and if their ideas were cool and played well into the setting. Sort of a session 0 to a session 0. 2 people shined in this. Ironically, both wanted to play Tremere, but that guy flipped to Chimisi Doctor because I had talked about how it sounded like a cool concept when a former player did it. So that guy and the Tremere came into the group, and everything seemed very cool and chill at first. That's 2 extra butters. His character was specifically supposed to be a high humanity Chimensa, who used his abilities to heal impossible wounds and tried to strictly abide the Hippocratic Oath as a code of honor of sorts. The idea sounded super cool on paper, but almost immediately in play he soft-swapped his old doctor into being a prostitute who constantly tried to sleep with half the NPCs. This is Vampire the Masquerade, and I never said sex stuff was off the limits, just fade to black, so this was partially my fault. But in retrospect, it's extremely red flaggy that he stealthed in this weird sex concept by hiding it behind a completely different one. He and the Tremere started getting very heated with each other, but I assumed it was mostly in-game clan bickening stuff, so I didn't fully try to stop it, just toned it down when it got too far. But eventually, the Tremere and him started to grow increasingly hostile until it reached a breaking point. Now, Tremere was also a weirdo, but of a different kind, and that's a different story for a different day. But basically, he leaves the game, and so does that guy for a while. That's another stick of butter. That's another piece of butter. What changes is one of my other players, one who played a gargoyle in mine, starts running their own BTM game. A modern Knights one this time. Everyone from my game was invited in. I make Tremere Mr. Freeze, basically. Loved one sick and preserved with filtered out Vidya and sleeping meds while he searched for a cure to a blood disease by using the horrific ability he has found himself with. But that guy, god fucking damn it, makes another sexual character. I'm covered in butter! A child one. Yet again, he didn't sell it as a sexual concept, but a somber little girl who had some Camarilla rank to pull. Yet he had her sexually active with his ghoul, and tried to seduce other characters. Thankfully, the child concept was later aged up by recommendation of the Game Master. I think he was trying a let the right one in concept, with the whole ghoul relationship, but it still set off a lot of red flags. This time, I start to notice way more of what's going on by being a player. As Game Master, he would always play nice and whatnot to me, and I wasn't experienced enough GM to keep chaos from ensuing from that guy for the most part. God fucking damn it, it's another. But this was one of Gargoyle's first games. He tries to make everyone uncomfortable, and constantly catch them in something wrong so he can use Camarilla rank. Whenever we call him out on it, he uses the age-old "it's what my character would do," because he's supposed to be like an inquisitor or something, and that we shouldn't be taking it personally. I try to just groan and go along with it, but it makes the game comfortable and painful whenever we aren't split up. The moments alone, or when I wasn't paired with him, were the most fun for me, and whatever other players were away. Holy fuck. I'm not even halfway through the story, and I kind of want to vomit. This is gross. I haven't ever encountered a that guy story this bad. Holy shit. Not since, like, Crit Crab covered Craig. That game doesn't last too much longer because college and work changes Gargoyle's schedule. I decided that I'm kind of burnt out on the Wild West game and think of a change for a game or a while that can help, and so I start up a Savage game. In Session 0, warn people it's likely going to be more graphic, but fade to black rules still apply. God fucking damn it, we have another one right next to us, okay? That guy makes a Toreador anti-Tribu, who's also, get this, a sexual child character. Blech. So, I'm seeing a lot of just having no fucking backbone here. Is this like this DM's first ever that guy experience? Because, oh my fucking god, they are handling it poorly. Normally, I'm used to seeing first time DMs actually fucking handle this like a champ. Dude, I can't say this enough. You've got to grow a fucking backbone. This dude has done this 3 fucking times now. He should be out of the table, just fucking gone. There's no reason you should be playing with this dumb fucking Peter Scully lookalike anymore. This time, it's one that hunts pedos using online. Oh no, this is gonna be gross. Using online high school and computer stuff, and given it's a Sabbath game and pedo hunting sounds cool, I allow it. It wasn't as bad this time, thankfully, but I didn't thoroughly realize the pattern yet. All of his characters fall into one of 3 concepts, including all the ones he's talked about making or says he's played in the past. Hypersexual bimbos, hypersexual kid, and characters solely made to piss off other players. He would start talking more and more about his child character especially, showing all sorts of picture examples he would find and talking about all their methods in increasingly uncomfortable ways. I want to fucking die. As we started off slowly, and slowly ramped up, he almost didn't notice, just that the atmosphere of their group kept getting less and less comfortable. Now, we move into another game. Another one of my friends, we'll just call him Jazz Age. He was running a 1920s New Orleans vampire game. Started that game up. I excitedly gave my character concept and stuff since he was allowing any clan, and getting away from his forever GM was exciting. My concept was a Satique speakeasy owner, blood sorcerer. His motivations mostly revolved around controlling vice and crime in the city as a way of making it cleaner and more humane. And he wanted to go up in rank so he could try to control the vampire side of things too. My guy acted pretty flamboyant in order to hide a lot of his true feelings. He pretended to be much more sexually active and drug-addled than he actually was. That guy apparently really hated my concept. How my guy spoke and acted, so rather than say something, he started making his third category of character. He made a Giovanni mobster who absolutely hated fairies and fruits, as were the terms for the time, and he immediately started singling me out. He would instantly not trust my guy with anything, chain offensive anti-gay insults towards him, and always hide behind the what my character would do. Take offense to my guy just trying to help him, so on. Meanwhile, he also started provoking me out of character during the game, getting me more and more mad while I tried to keep my cool and enjoy the game at least until we could break into a full argument, and he would point out my anger as an excuse for him being right. I think there's 5 main reasons he really hated this character in particular, and why he was especially mad at me. 1. I denied him a spot in the werewolf game I was running. I had started it while he was gone, and it was already full. So he didn't get to use his sex bimbo black furry concept. 2. I was playing a semi-sexual character this time around, and actually doing it in a way that didn't make people uncomfortable. So he lost one of his favorite hobbies. 3. He always claimed to be a writer and someone in the business. Absolutely hated on any backstory or concept that didn't meet his standards. Despite never actually writing paper backstories himself and not being bothered with even bullet points listings, having the story almost only play out in prelude sessions. 4. Rolling into the last one, actually, being a former forever GM, I'm used to listing a ton of notes. So my backstory and notes and connected NPC list was almost 10 pages. And the Game Master used most of it in the game, given scenes my guy was connected to with more emphasis. I'll admit, this was way too much emphasis, but Jazz Age was so new, and after each game, I tried to talk to him about listening it, and tried to prop up the rest of my players more so they could get some scenes. That guy had some main character syndrome. Ironically, he's trying to claim I do, even when I offered him to take over on tons of scenes just to avoid drama. And he saw me as a threat given the preludes. My guy was Keeper of Elysium, so he was present in most of the other characters' preludes as a way of introducing them to the city and connecting the culture together. And lastly, 5. I was Jazz Age's friend IRL, and I've been one of his only game masters ever. So he generally trusted my opinions and rulings on things whenever he had questions, which that guy likely saw as me co-DMing and taking control of the game, so he felt like he had to dethrone me. Alright, how many that guys is that? These are all just theories though. What I do know is that they reached ahead at the beginning of one session. My guy had been forced to diablerize a Sabbath member by the prince to make a statement about the war. That anything done to a Sabbath was now fair game in his city. My guy, being of high humanity, was sort of miserable about this, but got flashes of info from the Sabbath's head. Info on locations and other stuff, so he immediately contacted the sheriff. He had Lawman's friend, so he was on good terms with him. The prince wanted my guy to say the info in front of the whole city, so he gathered all the vampires into his mansion and put me on the podium. As soon as my guy starts talking, That guy starts calling me a traitor and says he thinks I've been taken over by the Sabbath I'd ate with zero proof and pulls a gun on me. To be fair, Gargoyle wasn't totally sure either, but he never pulled a gun. He never pulled a weapon. He was my guy's friend and bodyguard and wanted a chance to fully check me over. The prince and sheriff both say they checked my guides and ensured that wasn't the case, but that guy, Hey editor, before I keep going, how much butter do I have on me? Pulls the hammer back on his gun and aims it squarely at my head. My guy calmly walks over, pointing out all the security in this room. And that if he brains the only man with critical intel, they will all do worse than kill him. Out of character, I try to point out that what's happening is bad and try to talk him out of PvP. But this was an opportunity he wanted, though obviously, he won't. I tell him once more, the security before saying, do it then, let's see what happens. As a way of trying to force rationality and say as much out of character. He rolls with celerity and spends a willpower so he can try to instantly kill me. Even with my fortitude, he torpors me and was only a couple points away from ashing me. Then nothing happens to him, because the GM had no clue what to do about this. I left the game for a good 10 minutes to cool off because of how bullshit this was, and the words from that guy, was the most insanely smug rendition of "It's what my character would do" I've never heard. The game master calls me back in so we can try to settle this out. At first he just tries to have someone of older blood in the room feed me their blood to heal me out of torpor and let bygones be bygones. But I point out that I have to leave the coterie, as I couldn't work with the guy that tried to murder me, especially if his character went unchallenged for it. Realizing this, the GM, who was still confused by the events that just happened, decided to retcon back to before he pulled the trigger, and had the sheriff run and push the gun away. Along with this, we have a serious conversation about going to the game master and expressly telling him or the other players if he has an issue and that PvP of that nature would strictly not be allowed. After this, I listen to what he said and we try to move on. A couple sessions go by and that guy is still acting exactly the same, which builds into another argument, but this time I expressly went to the game master first so he could moderate. Yet again, he tries to provoke me in the argument, and the game becomes even less fun, and I start talking to the game master that I'm thinking of leaving. I say I'll try a couple more sessions, but if nothing improves, I'm gonna go back to just forever DM me. The next session, I make a last-ditch attempt to try and fix things both in and out of character. I suggest to the group that we should blood bond to the first degree to kind of force a likability thing without calling out specifically that guy. I know I'm saying fuck a lot for this, but it's not that I dislike it, it's just he's just such a that guy. Look, I'm so fucking covered in butter that... How much are we at? 14, I think? 15? Jesus Christ, I've lost track of how many times I've had to say that guy or butter in this video. I explicitly ask everyone and say that even if one person doesn't like the idea, we don't have to do it. Everyone says they like it, except for that guy, who seems unenthused but said yes. Fuck. Alright, wait, there's another one that I see right down here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put 2 on, so I can skip the next alt tab. Hey, if you're still watching, listen, I know that this is a long video. Goddamn, I can't look at myself straight with all the butter on me, but listen, I know that this is a long video. Feel free, pause it, take a break, go grab some water, hydrogenate. It's been a hot fucking minute, and we have a lot of that, guys, a lot more butter to go. I think we're about 70% through the story. We might be only halfway. It's a long fucking story, but it was recommended, and I'm gonna read it, because I said I was gonna read it in my Discord. And reminder, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Tell me your favorite horror stories. Leave them in my Reddit suggestions channel on Discord, or hell, just leave a link in my YouTube channel, and I'll probably read it. There's a high likelihood of me reading your favorite RPG horror stories, or hell, you can write your own in my comments, and I will probably read it from the comment section. Much love, stay sexy, and make sure that you go and hide Dronchene. I know I have to. I ask him again if he's sure or not, to which he just apathetically says, yes. In character, this was done because we were about to discuss negative things about the Prince, and wanted to make sure none of us turned the rest of the conspiracy in. The rest of the session, I go explicitly out of my way to ask other people everything. And we all seem to be in agreement, and they suggest things of their own, to which I go along with, except for that guy, who seems to be acting like he's having a horrible time, but won't say a damn thing after we ask him repeatedly. Then comes the moment he says no on something finally, after already agreeing on it. We had priorly established a ruling that memories made while drunk or whatnot were harder to surface level read with high owl specs, and the Prince was a Toreador. So before we discussed any possible treason, the group had agreed it was best if they all had a few shots to make these memories seem hazy. When it comes time to do it, despite agreeing and having heard the treason talk, he refuses and walks out. My guy tries to follow him and asks if he's sure because he's risking the entire group now that we already finished the meeting. He basically says to fuck off, and that ends the session. Who else doesn't see this going well at all? I absolutely think that exactly what's gonna happen is that that guy is gonna go directly to the Prince and kill everybody just to spite one player. Listen, DM, it's time to make like Cody. You gotta come up with an ink defense somehow. You just need one. You just need some Cody, some ink defense. I don't care if you actually shit yourself to get everyone out of here so you just stop it. With things being this out of hand, this disastrous, you need to quit. Because there's no way that you are prepared for this. After the session, when it's just me and the Game Master around, throws out that I forced him to do everything that session, even after explicitly asking everything. Both me and the Game Master are confused and angered by this. We both pointed out that we had promised to speak up or speak to the Game Master if we had problems, or that he had every chance to do this. Then comes one of the worst moments between us, and the one that was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to say. He says he couldn't because I'm such a dick, I would just automatically blow up on him. But not to worry, it wasn't my fault, because I was a dick because of personal, really bad family situation going on I had trusted the group with in personal talks. He used in real life, personal family struggle against me, and it's the ultimate smug provocation. I do get very angry at this, and demand to know why he thinks it's okay to use something like that against someone in an unrelated discussion. He instantly jumps to pointing out how angry I am over this as an excuse for his behavior, to which I realize I'm finally fucking done and just, I yeet myself out of the chat. Great. This is the only way that you can really deal with this guy at this point. You just have to fucking leave. Let him tend to himself, let him languish in his own shit puddle. That's really all you can do. Apparently, right after this, he immediately tries to tell the Game Master, who's still shocked by the audacity of that guy, that he wants to turn all the intel into the sheriff, not realizing the game is basically done. Apparently, right after this, he immediately tries to tell the Game Master, who's still shocked by the audacity of that guy, that he wants to turn in all the intel to the sheriff, not realizing the game is basically done. I wasn't around for this, but was told shortly after by the Game Master. The Game Master tells him no and tries to get him to apologize to me. But instead of apologizing, he realizes he won't get his way or have that tactic work again. So he blocked me on everything and leaves my server instead, rage quitting from me. I thought this would really be the end of it all, but unfortunately, there's one more final fuck you that he gets to make, or as a group, we all kick him for good. Jazz Age as a brother, who was also in the group, it was a friend. And he wanted to run a 5e D&D game, so I'll call him D&D. He never invited that guy, but that guy was currently online, fuck. And discovered it and forcibly invited himself, despite there already being a pretty full group. We've got a double that guy, a double that guy there, double that guy. Double better than cheeks, boy. I'm already uncomfortable with this, and I make it known, but Jazz Age and Gargoyle both decide to make buffer characters who can help keep him from doing shit in character, so we don't really have to directly interact. I nervously throw out that my concept is basically Armored Dr. Doom Wizard. That guy immediately counters with Trap Child hypersexual charm magic user who basically date rapes everyone using charm magic. As such, I start completely changing my mechanical build, so I can have charm resistance, go artificer to have mental protection items, and armorer, so he can't forcibly remove my clothes. Then we have another butter. So basically, let me break this down a little bit for you. So that guy forces his way into a group he knows he's not welcome to, just to be a dick to one person, alright? And he's making a fucking pedo character, fucking literal child trap, rapes everyone with magic. So everyone's now having to metagame the fuck out of their characters so that they don't get raped by a fucking 7-year-old. Who the fuck let him in? You can literally just say, fuck you, you're not allowed, and block him. Why didn't you guys do that? But no, you'd rather be like, we don't want to rock the boat. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Your uneasiness about rocking the boat is ruining everything. You have to rock the boat. I'm sorry, but I think you need to get practice treating people like shit. You could learn something from Cody. You could learn something from that guy. You need to learn how to treat people like shit, because quite frankly, at this point, you need to be treating that guy like shit. Just block him. Get the fuck rid of him. He's not allowed in your life anymore. Why is he still here? The whole time he's secretly, briefly ERPing and sending weird pictures to Jazz Age, who's making him pretty uncomfortable, but he doesn't know what to do. Him being terminally online shows up to basically stalk my prologue session, which made me really fucking uncomfortable, and I didn't even have fun with it as a result. Afterwards, the group has a discussion and he starts talking jokingly about the stuff he's gonna do to our characters. I nervously laugh and explain how my armor can't be removed. I have high saves and resistance against charms. This triggers him, and he changes his entire attitude during the discussion. He also tries to unblock me to get back on my server when I talk to Jazz Age and D&D about a hunter game we were doing, because that guy, fuck, wanted back in, but wasn't gonna ask, so he makes a big public point about unblocking me. I ignore that and keep discussing. Another butter. Shortly after, Jazz Age wonders if he should try again with that guy and asks me, which I say, it's a very bad idea. But I try to stay civil about how I word it and point out how he never really apologized or learned anything from last time. So it will start problems again. So we've got 1, 2, that guy's in this paragraph, okay. I eventually admit that in a smaller group without buffer characters, I will leave the game if he tries anything again. That guy makes a fake non-apology about the headshot. As in, he says it was retcon, but still says it was what his character would do. And the words sorry have nothing to do with it. He also seems to think that this was the only problem between us in that entire game. This sort of proved that he learned nothing and wasn't going to change. As it is, I wasn't sure about the D&D one. I mentioned how I explicitly did my build to avoid him PvPing. This is when Jazz shows me something and says he's not sure if he should show it or not, but it feels relevant. He shows me chat logs between him and that guy, fuck, right after the D&D prologue discussion, where he went on a triggered tirade about how dumb it was I made my character impossible to molest, and that I was being a fucking prude. To make this worse, I had explicitly told him in another game, one of my biggest lines that I draw is, "Don't molest my characters." I've been a victim of sexual assault in real life before, and this is also something he explicitly knew. I felt legitimately sick in my stomach, seeing the chat logs, and I thanked my friend for showing them to me. Me and him went to the Game Master, and I said I would be leaving the game. He said he was shocked too, and that given how uncomfortable he was also making everyone else, and how he just slipped his way in, it was best to just kick him from the server. They wanted to avoid confrontation, so they just sort of said they nuked the server because of other problems, and that they weren't going to run games. He apparently believed this, as he was up this morning and he talked to Jazz, which is what leads to us doing this right now. After all of that, after making us uncomfortable for years, and almost ruining multiple games and trying to constantly gaslight us, he started writing a horror story about us, and specifically, me. He was going to title it, "Shot a Guy with Main Character Syndrome in the Head," but was likely going to villainize all of us as well. If you're seeing this, that guy, fuck, and I think you will eventually, you can write your story or whatever, but please, leave everyone the fuck alone. I'm the one you really have beef with, it seems, and they just want to relax and be comfortable in their own servers again. Update. So in the time since the group kicking him and this being posted, that guy has taken to cyberstalking other members of the party after they blocked him, tracking down different social media and website stuff he was never told about. He's also messaged Gargoyle about how I was secretly responsible, and then pulled the classic abuser gaslight of, "Well, I hope he seeks help," as the cherry on top. It also means he absolutely went after the other party members to try and bother them, as I was explicitly telling him not to, as his main problems seem to be with me. This guy is a tick that won't let go, it seems. Also, I'm gonna re-edit and repost this, likely, since people in the comments seem to have a lot of issues with the layout and editing, and the story itself didn't seem to suggest at the timeline of events properly, given questions I have had to answer below. This is a nightmare. You had your session zeros, yes, that's fine. But this dude literally, like, fucking Carney swapped in sex characters from fucking, like, PhDs and shit. 3 times in a row. After that, he would have been just fucking gone. Zip, gone. But he's cyberstalking you now. This dude is a fucking criminal now. There's no chance he doesn't try to show up to your house and do something violent. There's no fucking chance. He is literally at that step before stalkers commit murder. I am not fucking kidding. If you look at the emotional abuse diagram, there's like all these different types of abuse, and then like right before murder is always stalking. This guy knows your number. He knows your fucking servers. He's got your ass on a hook. You need to call the cops on this dude. Fuck the whole rocking the boat thing. You're being too much of a fucking pansy, guys. This entire fucking party is being too much of a fucking pansy as a collective. You need to nip this in the bud. There is no way to deal with this guy. You need to call the cops on him. He is constantly harassing you, constantly threatening you, constantly gaslighting other members of the party, constantly abusing you, and now he is actively cyberstalking you on all members' ways of social media, including your Reddit, Facebook, Twitter accounts. You can't have free time. They probably know where you work. Why are you letting this go? You shouldn't be satisfied with this. You shouldn't be letting it go like this. You need to call the police on this dude because he's going to fucking hurt somebody physically over a game of Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Masquerade. This dude is sick and demented in the head. I don't know why you guys didn't kick him out after the first fucking character, much less the third. I don't have much else to say here. Other than that, this is very poorly handled. They've had their session there. They did a lot right. But a big fucking issue that they had is that they didn't ever kick that guy out of the party. Never. They did it like once at the end of a campaign that he already ruined. Twice! You've given him rope time and time and time and time again. It's time he hang himself with it. And I'm sorry, but you might just have to be the one to tie the knot for him, because, quite frankly, he's too much of a dumbass to do it himself. That said, I hope that you all enjoyed the video. Much love, stay sexy, and remember, we're getting close to that 100 subscriber milestone. When we get there, we are going to be reading the Old Man Henderson's Tale. In all of its fortune and glory, the very thing that started the Henderson scale of plot derailment, and arguably, one of the things that started the RPG Horror Story sub. At the very least, it's an inspiration for it. And it's also absolutely one of the things that started D&D Green Text. Now, much love, stay sexy. I hope to see you guys later. I'll probably be streaming Grim Dawn later. It's going to be my first time in Elite difficulty, so I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye! Oh, there's links in the description. Bye-bye!